there something I should know, B?
I'm playing the guitar, Heather.
I mean, I can hear that, but why?
You know, there is no pleasing you. Every time you come over into this house, B, why don't you play the guitar? B, why don't you play the guitar? I play the guitar, and now you want to know why I'm playing the guitar.
Okay, first of all, I don't sound that way. Second of all, it's not that I don't appreciate this whole bluesy vibe you've got going on. It sounds really good, actually. But I thought we were here to film an episode of Tortured Bourbon, not B's Blues Corner.
Ah, that's where you're wrong. Because tonight's episode is all about bourbon inspired by the heartbeat of Southern blues and old rock and roll.
So we are going to drink some bourbon tonight.
Heather, it's a bourbon channel. What else would we be doing?
Fine.
What's up, Heather?
What's up, B? And hey, thanks for that smooth intro music. It was very Clapton.
I wish. Well, you know, it's only rock and roll, but I like it.
I got the reference.
Right.
I got it.
And if you love bourbon, how could you not love barroom blues? Welcome to Tortured Bourbon. If you enjoy bourbon banter, two people constantly roasting each other, you found the right show.
Yeah, and to our loyal viewers, welcome back and thank you for joining us. Your views and your comments keep this show going. And if you're new here, welcome to the Tortured Bourbon family. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and click the bell. We drop 2 episodes a week, one quick one during the week and a longer one like this on the weekend.
And check out the description below for links to our website, social media, and exclusive merch, because you too can own a Tortured Bourbon crew neck.
It's getting to be that time of year, babe.
Yeah. Now that we've fulfilled the sacred obligations of all YouTubers, let's dive in. What are we drinking tonight?
Well, as all of you know, we have spent quite a while exploring bottled and bond bourbons. And while that was super fun, I am really excited to kind of take a break and just enjoy these 2 bourbons we have tonight.
But if you missed that, there'll be a link right here, right now, where you can watch that. But exactly, tonight's bourbons pay tribute to American music. First up, from Memphis, Tennessee, we have Blue Note Distillery's Juke Joint. And when you talk about American music, you have to talk about Memphis.
Uh-oh, I feel like this is about to turn into story time with B.
You know it. You're playing my song, Heather. I'm full of them tonight.
You are. You're full of something.
Yeah. So let's talk about the Juke Joint. After emancipation, African Americans needed places where they could unwind, dance, and enjoy music. With segregation in full effect, they couldn't access white establishments. So at crossroads across the South, juke joints, sometimes called barrel houses, popped up, becoming hubs for music, dance, and community.
Ah, the birthplace of blues and jazz.
Exactly. In these places, you'd find banjos at first, then guitars, and soon jazz and blues were born, blending African American rhythms with European instruments. From New Orleans to Chicago, these little joints sparked movements that gave us jazz, blues, and of course later rock and roll. In fact, Buddy Holly, Jerry Lee Lewis, and the King Elvis, all of them owe their sound to these African American roots.
And let's not forget the legends like Robert Johnson, who supposedly sold his soul at a crossroads to play the guitar like no one else ever had.
Just like bourbon, American music has complex roots with African American traditions running deep in both.
And some of the best bourbon makers in history were also African American, often slaves or former slaves.
And we've learned about that, learning about Jack Daniels.
We have, yep.
It's a shared history. It's beautiful, but it's complicated, and it's hard to capture with words.
It is. So, Juke Joint bourbon is distilled in Kentucky, but it is aged and bottled in Memphis. Aged for at least 3 years, it's unfiltered and bottled at 93 proof.
On the banks of the Mississippi.
Exactly like that. So the nose, you're supposed to get some sweet corn, allspice, oak. The body is viscous, and the taste, you're supposed to get some vanilla, allspice, apricot, and pear. And then the finish also features that allspice that then fades into oak, pear, and vanilla. The mash bill comes in at 70% corn, 21% rye, and 9% malted barley.
So it really sounds like they're expecting there to be some spice.
If I don't get allspice, then
This is a failure.
It's
right?
a failure. All right. So over here's our Blue Note.
Fantastic.
All right.
Cheers, y'all. Yep.
Colors. It's a light amber.
It is a light
darker
amber.
for sure.
And you said this is running about 93 proof?
Yes, sir. 93 proof. So not super high. So I do get the vanilla. I like that.
Now, I was expecting more pepper because we said allspice 3 times.
Well, but allspice isn't really a pepper.
Not really pepper.
Yeah, that's kind of like your fall blend.
Fair. And we had some viewers share that we should talk about, do we think we're getting the spiciness from the wood? Do we get the spiciness from the
proof? The
proof, or are we getting it from just yeah. So in the smell. So we're going to try to do better with that.
Yeah. So the spiciness with this is definitely not coming from the proof. It's a fairly low proof, all things considered. I don't get burn. Easy sip. Yeah, absolutely.
Easy sip.
It's got a sweet nose.
It has a very sweet nose and sweet up front.
Sweet up front. Now I'm getting where it said the allspice would kind of hit you towards the middle, and then it carries over towards the finish, but then it kind of fades out.
There's a fruity to it, but not a heavy oak. Easy sipper, beautiful bottle.
Cool history.
B&R Distilling. In fact, one of their bourbons, I believe, is called At the Crossroads. They have a Crossroads special bourbon named after the legend of Robert Johnson, who was a real person. It's the whole...
He was a real person.
It's the whole...
And he was a hell of a guitar player.
It was all about, was he or would he not sell his soul to the devil? We don't have any accurate representation on that.
You don't have any proof?
No, I don't.
No video evidence?
Not with me.
Oh, man.
Maybe next week. So I like that.
I was getting ready to say, I like that. Are we going to rate it?
Absolutely. Go right ahead.
That's a dog will hunt for me. But I would happily sip that every evening.
So I think this is supposed to be their dog will hunt. I think this is supposed to be your... And I
well,
think
then it's doing exactly what it's supposed to.
And they've really accomplished it because, yes, this 7 nights a week. No questions asked. Not overly complex, but not simple.
We've lately been trying to make recommendations. Hey, if you're starting someone who's new to bourbon
this
or whiskey,
is a great starter.
It's a great starter.
This is a great starter because... If they're expecting smoke, there's no smoke. If they're expecting heavy spice, such as pepper or cinnamon, not really there.
No.
But is there a little twang to
There's
let you know you're
there.
drinking bourbon?
Yeah.
You know you're drinking bourbon. I just can't quite.
I think it's the pear.
Okay.
I think it's the pear.
But I've been around a lot of pear salads, right? I mean, it's been.
I didn't know where you were going with that.
And
I've known a pear or two in my time.
Yeah, I've known a pear or two. So I mean, pear is a familiar smell more than a familiar taste.
Yes, agreed. But I get it more in the taste than the smell. The smell is very sweet with 0 ethanol.
Oh, it's
good.
It's well done.
I'm a fan. It's a solid that dog will hunt for me.
Absolutely. I'll go with that.
Go Blue Note. Next, we're going to move on to Old Soul from Cathead Distillery in Mississippi, which is such a cool name.
The names are just
they're
incredible.
Fantastic. So this is Mississippi's first legal distillery, which actually did not come until 2010. And it was set up by 2 friends and blues lovers, Austin Evans and Richard Patrick.
I wonder if they have as crazy ABC laws in Mississippi as they do in North Carolina.
We should check into that. They had some other crazy laws there for a long time.
That's true. They're just not making spirits. They keep the blues alive. The term cathead was originally a compliment from blues musicians, and the distillery honors that history by supporting live music and local artists. A portion of their proceeds even goes to arts-related nonprofits, and they do live concerts and blues concerts right there at the distillery. They're really into it.
That's so cool.
They do special releases with different blues musicians on the bottle. They're a little pricier, but we have seen them.
Yeah. So Mississippi is another pillar of American music. Legends like B.B. King, Muddy Waters, Robert Johnson, and Jimmy Reed all came from here.
Yep. Now don't forget Tammy Wynette, Faith Hill, or the King, Elvis Presley, or his counterpart, who said if he was going to hell, he was going to hell playing the piano. That'd be Jerry Lee Lewis. But rest in peace, childhood hero of mine, and probably some of y'all's, Jimmy Buffett, all from the great state of Mississippi.
I remember the day Buffett died. We all just came over here to check on you.
Yeah, it was
It was a mess that day. So yeah, it sounds like there's a future road trip in our future, B. Let's visit Cathead and hit the Mississippi Blues Trail.
Yeah, that's a dream. I've actually talked about it quite a bit with Katie before. I'd like to drink bourbon, stand on the Tallahatchie Bridge, and leave a guitar pick on Robert Johnson's grave. I think that would be a cool trip.
That sounds like a bucket list item for you, for
is.
sure. But first, let's talk about this bourbon.
That's fair. That's fair. Old Soul bourbon comes in at 90 proof with a mash bill of 75% corn, 21% rye, and 4% malted barley. So it's actually fairly similar to the Blue Note. It's a small batch bourbon, and they advertise that it's just 44 barrels per batch. Now, fun fact, this bourbon is a blend of whiskeys that are distilled both in Indiana and Mississippi. So it's our belief, and this isn't a big stretch, that some of it might be MGP, while the rest of it is coming from their in-house distillery.
And we've also got a private selection Old Soul, cast strength version, coming in at 120 proof. It has another gorgeous label. You know I'm a sucker for this navy and gold combination. I mean, obviously I went for the navy t-shirt. I love this combo. And
just looking at the two bottles next to one another, I don't know how well the camera's picking up, but there's definitely a deeper color to the barrel strength.
But back to Old Soul and Cathead Distillery. They describe the Old Soul as a brilliant deep amber color, which I believe it.
Yep.
Sweet vanilla, evoking bakery goods and sugar cookies for the smell, with subtle hints of leather. Let's bust out that leather strap again. So,
someone asked me, can you really taste everything they say you should taste?
Absolutely
I would absolutely no.
Absolutely not.
No, and I'm not going to chew on leather.
Although, we have been looking for decoration.
Just put a saddlebag.
Just a saddlebag right
John
there.
Wayne saddlebag
Just smell
right
it
there.
For every episode. So the taste is supposed to be elegant and balanced, which I've never tasted elegance, but I'm really excited about it.
elegance.
It's supposed to have notes of rose, dried cherry, toffee, and baking spices. So mid-palate, you're supposed to get a little rye spice and some herbaceous notes carrying through to the finish, which...
So herb notes?
Herbaceous. No, not just herb.
Herbaceous.
And then the finish is supposed to be
Did
rich.
ChatGTP write all of this? I mean, good lord.
You want me to contact their social media people, ask them who wrote their descriptions?
Let's not do that.
So the finish is supposed to be a rich, earthy finish with a lingering rye spice. I think you've already jumped ahead smelling and tasting before
Just
I've
smelling. I have not tasted it. It does have that amber color.
It has a very different smell than the first one.
Yes.
Very different.
Yes. And a different taste. Mm-hmm. Still get the sweet. Mm-hmm. A little more oak at the end. I think it has a little more of that allspice or traditional spice than
it's the rye spice.
Blue Note. The rye spice is coming. There we go. The rye spice is coming through a little bit more. Mm-hmm. I still think it's an easy sipper.
Oh yeah.
I do think that it does not have as a lingering taste. It does kind of.
It kind of pops and then stops. Yeah. It's good though. It's a very easy sipper. It is not complex. I'm not getting tons of different flavor profiles, and it's not changing for me several times throughout from start to finish.
No.
And I don't mean that as a bad thing necessarily.
No.
Yeah. Sometimes we're ready for easy and simple.
I like it different. I think it's still a doggle hunt.
I would still label it that. I'm not gonna mix it.
No. It does not need mixing.
No.
I think this is a little softer on the palate. I think this has got a little more, even though the mash bill doesn't maybe necessarily lend it to, I think the rye is a little more pronounced.
I agree with that.
I have, I've been to Memphis in the summertime, and I've got to tell you that hell can't be much hotter than Memphis in the summertime. I have not traveled to Mississippi, but I have no reason to believe that going further down the river is going to be any cooler. So I don't know if that's having an effect because it is a different climate change.
Absolutely.
They're both using oak, but the oak could be treated different. We've learned all about barrel changes. The char could be different, but the rye definitely is coming through more. And I'd like to know why with the same mash bill, but I'm not going to know. But I do like it. I think on a different night. I think that this is spring. And I think this is more fall. But that's just me.
I think I like the mouthfeel of this one better. This one is a little thin for my taste.
Okay, so let's jump up. And we're jumping up to just under 120 proof. It's 119.4.
Ooh. So this is pretty much the same color.
It's a little deeper. Not significantly.
I can already smell the higher proof. Don't you smell? You can tell it's a higher proof, though, just from the nose.
Not just the nose.
That's a higher proof.
That hits you on the top of the mouth.
Yes, absolutely. Now I'm feeling it right back here.
That hit me on the roof of the palate.
It did.
Being we've had the small batch and now we're having the cast strength, and it was a private selection for North Carolina. Actually, for the great county of Durham. I guess we can. It's coming from the alcohol content. Mm-hmm. We're getting more heat from the alcohol content.
Yeah, for this one, it's definitely the alcohol content. I want us, though, to get a little bit into the tasting notes on this one because it's a little different. Like, it's not the vanilla caramel forward. There's a different taste in there. It's almost, for me, it's got more of that tobacco-y.
All right, so then
It's not as sweet.
So we're hypothesizing.
Yes, sure.
Is that the right word?
It can be.
That when they add the water, it's taking out some of the tobacco earthy tones, is what you're saying.
Yes.
All right, and with this one, we're getting this is spank in the butt from the barrel.
Yeah.
So it's probably picking. I would assume it's getting more characteristics out of the barrel.
Yeah, I think you're right. And honestly, what you just articulated is why I don't know if you remember a few minutes ago, I had asked you, I had clarified. I was like, this is a small batch. This is the cast strength. Because when I poorly articulated about the second one was when I was saying it's thinner. It's not as strong of a mouthfeel. It's the water. And I feel like also that's what prevents the middle one from the finish going as long. Whereas with this one, it hits you.
Yeah, so if it's finishing, I'd be interested to know what their regular, I think I did read that most of their cast strength's coming out at 120. Mm-hmm. So they're proofing that down, if that's the correct term, they're proofing that down to 90. Mm-hmm. That's significant.
It's a decent amount of water.
For instance, I think Wild Turkey comes out closer to 110, 112, and they proof it down to 101.
So it's not.
So you're not getting, and that's one of the things they try to do. So, but here you get I'm glad we had both these to try
Me
back
too.
to back. This is one the old. I'm holding it over here. So this Old Soul, the small batch, being we were doing comparison. Okay, so what would we rate this? I'm sorry.
Okay, so first off, just quickly, if you're trying these, if you like sweeter, go with the first two. If you like something a little different, a little less sweet, a little more of the earthiness coming forward.
To me, this is closer to Hush Your Mouth.
Yes, it's more complex than the first two, where this one has a little more complexity to it. Mm-hmm. You gotta chew on it a little bit. I like it a lot, though.
Oh yeah, and I think that if when you're buying for your friends, in terms of these two, I think you're dead on. Mm-hmm. I think if you're saying someone who doesn't, when you're doing the introduce, if you want sweet, a little more sweet, maybe a little more savory.
Yeah, I think the most savory is the cast strength for sure. But I completely agree. If you're starting someone, that Blue Note is an excellent one to start someone with, both because of the proof point and the flavor profile. Also, it's fun to get something, don't start someone with the classics. Start someone with something from a fun boutique distillery with a cool story. And then, you might spark a conversation about music. And who knows, it could turn into a really fun evening. And somebody might even bust out their guitar.
I don't know who that would be. Well, folks, what we've learned today is we like bourbon.
I'm shocked.
Yep, and we like bourbon that's attached to music.
Anytime we can reference music, we are happy campers.
And now we have an opportunity tonight to have trivia
with Ryan.
Hey guys.
Hi Ryan.
It's been a while.
Hello, producer Ryan.
So my true false question of tonight, you guys mentioned juke joints earlier. My true false question is true or false, the term jukebox came from juke joints. True or false?
It seems logical.
I mean, it seems logical. Let's go with yes.
Yes.
It is true. Yes,
Okay.
yes. That general trivia. You guys mentioned the King, Elvis, earlier. Speaking of the King and his alcoholic endeavors, the question is, what was rumored to be his favorite alcoholic drink?
I thought you were gonna go with
Is
that weird
it-
sandwich he liked.
Well,
to
he
eat all the time.
liked fried banana and peanut butter sandwiches.
Bacon.
So here are the three choices: an old fashioned, a raw broil, or a black Russian.
I think it's. What was your instinct?
Black Russian.
Me too.
That was my instinct.
Yep, Black Russian.
Yeah, that is correct.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
And lastly, sports trivia. So you guys mentioned B.B. King earlier. He was a huge baseball fan.
I did not know that.
Yes,
Cool.
huge baseball fan. Apparently kept up with it like daily. And the question is, which team was his favorite team? Was it the Chicago Cubs, the St. Louis Cardinals, or the Atlanta Braves?
Probably Atlanta.
What was the Chicago option?
Cubs.
I'm going with the Cubs.
He just put that in there because it's his favorite.
I'm going with the Cubs.
He's correct. It was the Cubs. Yeah.
Nice job.
Yeah. So 3 for 3 tonight. Good job.
Woo!
Way to go.
Speaking of sports, Blue Note is the official sponsor of like the National Pickleball Association or something like that.
Well, I'm sure they're drinking it over here in our neighborhood.
Oh, they are, my
'cause our
Lord.
pickleball courts are always hopping. So, B, why don't you grab one?
Yep, absolutely.
Thanks for the awesome trivia, Ryan. And as always, cheers, y'all.
Cheers.